Are those the vuvuzelas from a previous World Cup? Nope. It's actually the scene from City Hall this week. Over 30 Montreal blue-collar workers took their frustrations over not having a contract to City Hall. They rallied. They entered the building at times. And let's talk about that and more, why these blue collars are so upset. With Leslie Roberts, of course, every week at this time, we do our City Hall segment. And Leslie is Associate Councillor on the Executive Committee, responsible for relationships with the English-speaking community, among other things. So, Leslie, thanks for coming back.
It's a pleasure on a busy week for us.
So, I think one of the things we should talk about here is these blue collars, right? It's not like you guys showed up and they got angry.
Correct.
They've been angry for a while.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the blue collars? Why are they so hot and mad and taking it out on your administration?
They have been without a contract, Elias, since the end of 2024, and they are frustrated because of the lack of negotiations of the previous administration. We've been there 2 months and a couple of days, and already the people behind Ensemble Montréal and the administration that's now in power have reached out. The negotiations are underway. We're not going to negotiate through the media, so the numbers won't be thrown out there. But I will tell you this. We were left with 7 union collective agreements that had run out.
7?
7 of the unions at City Hall. The contracts had expired and negotiations were either underway or stalled, and they were handed to us. So I don't blame the blue-collar workers for making themselves. They wanted to make headlines yesterday, and that's why we're talking about them. But they came in also when it was minus 18 to warm up as much as everything else. But, they didn't really disrupt the city council. They just wanted the headlines.
But do you think... because if Projet Montréal had won the last election, they didn't obviously, but if they had won, they'd be stuck with this mess.
Absolutely.
Or do you feel it was a little bit by design? They said, oh, you know what? An election's coming. Let's kick the can and leave the mess for after the election.
I don't want to put what I think into the minds of what actually happened in theirs, but I will tell you this, and this was huge for me. As you recall, during the election campaign, the STM, the Transit Commission unions, were also holding their strike action. And when Soraya was elected in November, the first thing she did was she called in all of the leaders of the STM unions and said, hey, come into my office. Let's talk about this. Please go back to negotiating table. You remember the bottom line was we averted a number of strikes. Yeah. And you know why I think that is? Because as Soraya told me, it was the first time that these union leaders had been invited into the mayor's office. Yeah. It's called respect. Yeah. I mean, you have to think about it. These are people who work for the citizens of Montreal, whether it's the transit and of course the surrounding area, or it's the blue collar workers or the 6 other unions of the City Hall. They need to be respected too. And if you are not respected by your employer, you don't want to do a good job on the days when you're asked to do it. So it's mutual respect.
Having said that, we saw the budget. Times are tight.
Yeah.
There's not unlimited money. So could we be in for tough situations, strikes on these 7 unions because there's not unlimited money? I'm
an optimist. Yeah. We saw what happened with the STM. I think that Soraya's way of doing business starts with respect. I know Claude Pinal stood up at the budget meeting yesterday and said exactly the same thing. Something we haven't heard from the previous administration. The tone is right. So I'll be positive and say, the way it ended with the STM coming to agreements, I would hope to think that the majority, if not all, will also be settled the same way. There's already that feeling within the administration to do things right.
Okay, so on that front, here's an indication where the new administration, your administration, is significantly changing things. Housing.
Yeah.
The 2020 bylaw that Projet Montréal brought in.
Yeah. So 20% social housing, 20% affordable housing. Yeah. And that was the rule for the person who wanted to build. And
the third 20% was larger units for family units,
3 bedrooms. Yeah.
So has that been thrown away? What's happened here?
Well, let me tell you the success of that program. In the last 4 years, the previous mandate of the administration under our previous mayor, you know how many developments were actually built with social housing? How many social units were actually built, Elias?
It's almost zero?
149. Fewer than 50 a year. You know why? Because there was an opt-out clause where they paid a fine. So let's just play this out for a second. So if I'm a developer and say, you know what? I'm going to pay that fine. What does it come out to? Approximately $10,000 for every condo built. So that is now passed on to the buyer. It doesn't actually make things cheaper. It makes things more expensive. So this is common sense. So this program's out. We've under Caroline Brand, the mayor of Outremont, who's our head of our housing and the executive committee. She and Soraya have sat down. They put this plan together, and in fact have opened up identified 80 lots within the city. We're talking tens of millions of dollars potentially here that we are now saying to the developers who will go forward with units that will be more affordable because suddenly we're actually ceding it to them.
They're not paying fines.
They're not paying fines. We're actually giving them the land to develop. So there's savings millions of dollars in developing these things, passing it on along to the buyer and bringing it down with hopefully more social
what
and
what do you
affordable
say
housing.
to someone that they believe it to their core
Yeah.
that, you know what, the only way to get lower housing or affordable housing is for the government to enforce and make it happen? What do you say to those people?
Well, it's beyond municipal. You're now talking provincial here, I think, specifically. But that being said, I would say it came pretty close and it didn't work, right? They said 20%, 40%, to be honest, for affordable and social housing. And look how they got around it. In fact, they were going to raise the fines this year. That was in the plan originally, if this 2020 continued, which would make it even more expensive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the best argument is the results, right?
Exactly.
Of the last 4 years.
146 units.
Now, one thing from this week is, and that for Soraya Martinez-Ferrada, for the mayor of Montreal, that I've seen her talking about a lot. She has been targeting the changes that the Quebec government has made on immigration programs, especially that PEQ program. You have people with lots of experience who thought they were on the fast track to becoming
who were told.
That's right.
They were promised. You come here, you check all the boxes, you score enough points, you learn French is one of them. If you don't already speak French, then you are moving into Quebec society, contributing your skill set. We're talking about, for example, hundreds of people in the medical field.
Yeah.
That is dire, where we need to add, not subtract. They're now at risk of leaving because the government changed this program provincially.
This is of provincial purview.
It is.
Yeah, we've got the mayor of Montreal, and she has been very vocal. Why is this so important for her?
Well, I think a couple of reasons, because we're hit hard for obvious reasons. We are the center of when it comes to these programs where we need more people with qualified skills and so on to be able to do it. I just came from Concordia University where I spoke to the president, Graham Carr. He told me the same thing, because a lot of these, we are an international university city, right? We are. We've gone from number 2, according to those who rate it, to number 17. Because of how we've changed our programs. PEC is one of them.
What's that when you say from 2 to 17 on what metric?
So this is an organization that basically ranks all the university cities around the world.
Gotcha.
So we were number 2. We were going back and forth, believe it or not, with Boston.
Yeah.
If you include the French and English universities, right?
Sure.
I mean, one of the great things is we have great universities, but we have a great city. People want to live here and go to school here. Well, we've dropped, as I said, from number 2. I just found this out from Graham, down to number 17. That is worrisome. So it's already affecting that. We're going to have fewer people coming to Montreal. We're going to have fewer skilled people coming to Montreal. And ultimately, those of us who count on, I gave the example of the medical field, will have fewer nurses.
So what I'm focused on is fewer and just what it means, right?
Yeah.
Because I am not someone, I don't think there's anyone in Quebec that is arguing for zero immigration. But I think there are a lot of people arguing for, can we come back down to 2017 levels, 2018 levels, just to a little bit more reasonable numbers? And that's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of here. This move by Quebec, is it just to get us back to a more reasonable level, or is it let's hit our universities and the city of Montreal specifically, let's kneecap them and hurt their development?
I would say ask the minister responsible in Quebec City. That being said, keep in mind that the CAQist raison d'être is, and right now, and what they're focused on is the decline of the French language in Montreal, which, as we know, more and more scholars are telling us isn't actually happening. But that they're using this thing to deal with that, because a lot of the people come here are people whose language is in French, right?
Yeah.
And especially in the aeronautics field, the AI and so on, which our universities thrive on, right? So that's going to cut them. So I would say to you, I understand your point, but you're asking the wrong level of government.
So how, like, for the mayor, how much will she try and make this case, and is it falling on deaf ears?
I would say she's made her case. Yeah. We've heard people who've come to us at City Council and they made their case. People who came here with promises, have established their families here, are sending their kids to French school. I mean, keep in mind, Soraya came here at the age of 8 as a Chilean refugee. Yeah. I mean, this hits home.
Well, and this goes to, do we care about the immigrants, or should we be focused on the children of immigrants? Because everyone's coming here. They got to go to French school.
Yeah.
All the kids have to go to French school.
And
That's part of it.
They
right?
are
and they are.
Yeah, by law.
Okay, Leslie, listen, it's always great chatting with you. I want to thank you for coming on in and come back real soon, okay?
In a week or two. Yeah.
Leslie Roberts, Associate Councillor on the Executive Committee, responsible for the English-speaking community, universities, and the downtown core.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years.
And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.